You could try to turn off the sun, I'm still gonna shine away, yeah, and tell everyone we're having some fun today. We can go wherever you wanna and do whatever you like. Let's just have a real good time. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. I just wanna spread love and peace and all of my happiness, yeah, to everyone that I meet, 'cause I'm feeling spectacular. I love it when we love one another. Give thanks every day for this life, living with a smile on my face. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Hi, and welcome to our latest installment of our series of Zoominars where Cornerstone Law Services provides legal and financial tools for Muslim families. I hope everyone had a great winter break. We had a couple of weeks off ourselves and hope everyone's staying safe. So just to recap, Cornerstone has been bringing in experts in many fields relative to all of our unique situations in our community. And we want to allow all of you an opportunity to learn from and ask questions from people who have extensive knowledge in areas that are important to you. So today we have Lisa, a mother of three, a serial entrepreneur and a small business advocate. She is a certified public bookkeeper, a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor, and a certified payroll professional. She received her business degree from Cal State Fullerton, and she's currently enrolled with the MIT Sloan Executive Education Program. And today we are going to be discussing the new rounds of the Paycheck Protection Program, the second round. And so we're going to be talking about the eligibility requirements, how to ensure that your application will be approved, and when to apply for forgiveness. So please post any questions in the Q&A section below or email us at info@cornerstonelawservices.com and we'll respond with the answers as they come up. And please check out our website at cornerstonelawservices.com. And as usual, I would like to emphasize that the purpose of these webinars are for educational purposes and not intended to be legal advice. So please contact a legal professional to help you develop a proper plan that's right for your own personal situation. And with that, I'll have Lisa take this away.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for having me this morning on a beautiful Sunday morning. I'm calling you guys from my office, and I am, through our presentation today, you can see photos, and a lot of those photos are actual picture of my staff and our offices here. So you can have a few of that. We're local, we're right here in Tustin, California. So let's just get right into it. Let me try to share my screen here. And so the agenda for today is, first, I just would like to give you an overview of the Paycheck Protection Program. I understand that if you're here, you probably have quite a bit of knowledge of this program already as it rolled out last year, but just a quick recap on some of the changes. And then we are going to look at the eligibility requirements. What should we be looking at to make sure that you qualify for the loans? And then, of course, we talk about the loan application process. I'll give you some of the tracking tips because it's important that we get 100% of the loan amount forgiven. So tracking is super important. So we'll give some tips on that. And then we'll talk a little bit about the forgiveness application. I put Q&A at the end, but you can stop me anytime. Let's have some involvement from the audience or participants. That would be great. So stop me anytime with any questions. And so unless somebody have a question right now, I'm going to get right into first item. So the Paycheck Protection Program is, as you know, is a federal stimulus created to help the small businesses. And this last week, well, actually 2 weeks ago already, December 27 is when the president signed into law of the act, and of that amount, of the $900 billion that was to aid small for the CARE Act stimulus. I'll get to it. It's still early on Sunday. But of that $900 billion, $284 billion was allocated just for the Paycheck Protection Program, and because it was quite successful in the first round. But to put things into perspective, though, the first round, there was $522 billion dedicated for this program. The second round is only $284 billion. And so it is so important that you are prepared, which you are doing today, getting the information, getting your documents together. I suspect that starting on tomorrow, a lot of the lenders will be either accepting pre-application or actual applications for the PPP2. So make sure you're ready. And of course, you know, I'm here to assist. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So in terms of the program itself, like I said, it's a federal stimulus program. It is a forgivable loan. So it is still a loan before it's forgiven. And there are criteria that you have to meet in terms of how you spend the money to be able to get 100% forgiven, or sometimes they only forgive part of the loans. So let's say worst case scenario, you didn't get the full amount forgiven. It is still a really good loan. It's a 1% interest rate for 2 years terms. So I would highly encourage, if you qualify to apply, that you do apply for this. So don't be discouraged by the term loans, because the criteria to get it forgiven is actually they broaden that even more on the PPP2 program. They really want to help the small business. And so you need to help them help you. And that's why we're here to talk about that. Another update with the Paycheck Protection Program Round 2 that is so important, that I love, is that is a win for the small business, is that from a federal level, the Paycheck Protection Program funding, the money that you receive, is not taxable income, right? So on the first round, they did establish that. They say, okay, well, the money that you get, however that amount is, a couple $100,000, is not taxable income. But what the IRS was trying to do is trying to say that, hey, for the expenses that you had used to apply for forgiveness. So let's say your loan amount was $100,000. And in order to get the loan forgiven, you have to demonstrate that you spend that $100,000 correctly and its expenses in your business. So what the IRS was trying to say is that $100,000 of expenses. So let's say it was payroll expenses, or it was, rent or utility. Those then can no longer be a deductible expense in your business. So if you have a deductible expense, it's lower your net income for the business, and then therefore lower your taxes. So they were trying to tax you on that end. Well, with the new law that came out, IRS no longer able to do that. So the whole amount is taxable in every way imaginable for the federal level. So not taxable income, and the expenses are also tax deductible. So it's really, really nice. Now, from the state level, though, some of the state would adapt the federal ruling, some don't. And as of right now, it's difficult to tell because state by state, people are still fighting with the state government in this. So I have on the slide here the income tax conformity as of last year, January of last year. And I got this from the SBA smallbusinessadministration.gov. If you are not yet familiar with this website, I highly encourage you to do so. It's just sba.gov, so smallbusinessadministration.gov. On there, there's so much information about, how they can help you from a financial standpoint. There's also have government grants sometimes, so it's really good to get to know that that website. Also, the Small Business Administration are the people that administer this Paycheck Protection Program. So let's just give you a little background on this. Is the bill was signed by the president on December 27th, right? They give the SBA 10 days from the day the bill is signed to give the lenders and everybody else, lenders, borrowers, guidance, specific guidance on how to apply for this loan. And so the 10 days was up as of Friday. So I imagine that they have actually given out the guidelines. So starting tomorrow, I think that a lot of the lenders are going to be accepting applications. And then, so the way it works is the lender, the bank, will accept the application. They look over it to make sure that it has all the required information, and then they submit that to the SBA. So the SBAs are the people that determines whether or not to approve your loan. And then once they approved it, they send it back to the lender disperses the money to you. Of course, you have to sign a promissory note because it is a loan until it's forgiven. So therefore, you do need to sign the promissory note. The good thing about this, I know some of you might have had this question in the past, is will the PPP loans show up on your credit report? Are they going to run your credit? Is it going to affect you? What I have seen is that it does not show up on your credit report. Does not and your credit score, your FICO score, does not affect your ability to get this loan or not. So you don't have to worry about that. So going back to this graph really quick. Unfortunately, as you can see, California is yellow. That means that, we're not a fan of following the federal government in terms of tax guideline. So as of right now, California is still trying to tax the PPP, okay? So it's important that when you are submitting your financials to your CPA, even though Paycheck Protection Program money are not taxable in any way, technically your tax filer don't even need to know about it. They do because of the state. So at the state level, they need to know what the amount. And so the good news is we're still trying to fight the state on this. So hopefully they will cave in and follow the federal rules. Is there any question right now that I should stop and answer?
So just for clarity's sake, I guess, so I wonder, so are you saying that the federal government will not tax this, let me start my video. Okay.
This funding, yeah.
Let me start my video. So first of all, thank you so much, Lisa, for doing this.
Hi.
I'm actually just wondering, so you're saying the federal government actually says, okay, if they forgive the loan, it won't be taxable?
Not taxable.
But California is saying that, hey, even if you get the loan forgiven, if you get the loan forgiven, it becomes an income to you and we will tax you, but there'll be the state tax still, it won't be the federal tax.
Correct. Yeah, so only the state tax to business.
Remind me to call Governor Newsom and talk to him.
Please do. We all should stick together and do something about this.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Just FYI, I'm Sephora's husband. So.
Oh, hi.
I get to pop into the program.
You're the lucky man. Now I meet you.
Absolutely. Anyway, continue. Sorry, I just thought it was. I wanted clarity on that.
That was important to clarify. Thank you. Okay, so in the term of eligibility requirements, the Paycheck Protection Program, if you have never had a PPP loan, you didn't get any money in the first round, for whatever reason, you applied for it late, you didn't think you qualified, you'll be considered first time for the first round, and you don't have to your eligibility does not have to follow the first part here, which is They're looking at the gross receipts. So the requirement I'm showing here is really for the second draws, meaning those people who've already had the first Paycheck Protection Program loans, and now they're applying for the second draw, okay? So for those that are looking to apply for PPP2, the biggest change in terms of requirements is you have to demonstrate that your business in any given quarter in 2020 has suffered at least 25% reduction in your gross receipt or your revenue. Okay, so think about this. It's pretty broad and pretty easy to qualify. You look at any quarter in 2020, right? Most people, the second quarter of 2020 is probably the worst one for everybody, right? But everything shut down. And like for my business, even we were giving a lot of our clients breaks on their monthly service fee because we're like, we're here with you. You're not making any money. We don't feel like charging you, even though we're still working with your account, but we were all in it together. So, so any quarter though, first, second, third, or fourth quarter of 2020, pick any quarter that you can demonstrate your income will suffer by at least 25%. I'm not talking about income, gross receipts, I'm sorry, gross receipt, not net income. If your gross receipt was reduced by at least 25% or more compared to the same period in 2019. So if you're picking the second quarter in 2020, you need to look at the same quarter. So it's the second quarter in 2019 as well. So that's the biggest change in PP2 eligibility. Another change is that you have to have less than 300 employees. This was, they lowered the number of employees from 500 in the first round to now 300 employees. They're doing this because this round, they really want to focus on helping the small micro businesses. In fact, they allocate $25 billion specifically for companies that have less than 10 employees, okay? Another requirement too is if the business was established in China or Hong Kong, or 20% or more ownership of that business is owned by a Chinese or Hong Kongese, you're not eligible. So that's important to note, but those are the only people that they singled out. So everybody else is good, just the Chinese and Hong Kongese. The start date.
Travel ban. It seems to me like almost the Muslim travel ban, but we're not going to get into this, but yeah.
We're not going to get into this,
Yeah,
but it is what it is. Well, at least, you know, it is focusing for the American business, the small business. The first round, I was pretty upset about how many of my clients were shut out, right? On the first round of PPP, because they're such a small business and lenders was not willing to help them because they don't get much fees from it. But this round, I feel better about it. They really are allocating funds for the smaller banks, smaller community banks, smaller lenders. So it's good. And then the last one, requirements, which I've heard a lot of people who started their business in late 2019 or, you know, January, February in 2020, and they couldn't get any help on the first round. This round, they have some requirements, but startups, sole proprietor, 1099 earners, you all should consider looking at this program and see if you're eligible. But in any case, the business must start prior to February 2020, okay? Basically February 15th, actually, of 2020. Then you will be eligible to at least take a look at, you have to meet all the other requirements too, but they have special guidelines for the startup business. The application process. So, oh, sorry, here we go. So this is, what's nice about the second round is I feel that all of us are more prepared. The people that support the small business financials are a lot more prepared. So with the first round, most people was trying to go through the traditional lenders, your Wells Fargo, your Chase, your Bank of America, and many of them got turned away, right? The first round, some people were able to take advantage of the fintech lenders like OnDeck, Cabbage, PayPal, Bluevine. But with the second round, we are, as accountants, are able to help our clients even more. Anytime you see our bean guy here, that is our company logo, the Smart Bean. Anytime you see that guy, that means we can help. And so for this round, we actually have established a relationship with Biz2 Credit, and we are able to help our clients with the whole application process. From the time where, so with my clients, if somebody is interested in applying for this loan, for example, they have to let us know, they have to put in a request so we know they're interested. And then what we do is we'll actually look at your financials, because we do your books, so we know your financials, your tax returns, your profit and loss statements, and see if you qualify and how much, right? And then we'll discuss that with you. And then if that's something you want to move forward, we actually apply for you. We fill out all the full applications for you. All you got to do is take a look at it and sign it. So it's the e-signature too. So super easy. And then we ensure that it gets funded. The money gets direct deposit right into your business bank account. We, as your bookkeeper, track all your expenses. So as soon as you qualify, you just spend all the money, we will apply for forgiveness for you too, right? So the whole process, all you got to do is just let us know you're interested. We need to make sure that you're qualified, and then we handle the rest. So we're super excited about this. We are unfortunately only able to offer this to our current clients because it is a lot of time to do the qualification and a lot of information we have to gather. So only current or new clients that come in that we can help with. But I'm excited that I'm able to offer this to a lot of our small business clients.
This is amazing. This is great. Actually, this is a good time to answer a question. Well, I'm happy because I'm one of your clients. Cornerstone is one of your clients. And I tell you, I mean, this is really, I was not intending to say this, but as our bookkeeper, you know, you give us daily reviews and everything. I've never had this happen in my life. I always stressed out about numbers. Having you, I've never had to worry about it because on daily basis, I can go to my QuickBooks and I see exactly what's going on daily basis. It's amazing. But I have a question too from Mohammed Hosari saying, can you apply at any local bank? So I think you answered his question. Basically, how would you, because he's not one of your clients, for example, so it won't go with, you will not be able to, or maybe give us more information about that. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, so if you have had successfully got a loan on the first round and you're happy with the amount that they're giving you, because also what I've heard is that with some of the bigger banks, you give them the information and they come back with the amount that they think you're eligible, and you a lot of times disagree with it, but then you can't have anybody on the phone to talk about it with them. So if your first round experience, whichever lender that you were working with, I would say go back to that lender. If you had a positive experience, because they know you now, they have your information, and hopefully that makes the process a little easier. Community banks, yes, they are many of the community banks this round have funding to be able to lend you. So I would check with your community bank. It's all about relationship, right? So if you know a banker that would answer your call, go that route. And they can help you gather information, and you're gonna take a little bit of your time, but it'll be worth it because it's a forgivable loan, right? It's like a grant. So spend a little bit of time, get that. If you are, if you want me to, if you're a Hani's client and you want me to look at the books for you and see if you qualify, then I'll do that for you, even if you're not my client. How about that?
I feel so special right now. So
is there any way you could put the information of your contact information in the chat group?
Sure, I have that at the end, but I for sure will share that with everybody. So yes, for sure, if you're a Hani's client, I will be able to help you look at it, but just keep in mind that it's going to be a lot of back and forth between us because I don't have your information, right? So depending on what I find on the tax return, depending on how organized you are with your books, right? And because the first thing we got to look at is look at your income statements by quarter, right? And then whatever that numbers are showing there, it has to be able to, we have to be able to back that up with bank statements. So if you show a deposit of $20,000 for that quarter, your bank statement better match that, because that's what the lenders are looking at. So first you have to have accurate bookkeeping, up-to-date bookkeeping to have the information. And then you need to, from there, you can find information to back it up. So that's how I would.
Yeah, and anyone who reaches out to me, I can forward your information as well. We'll post our email address. And I feel so special. I'm glad that it's not Dr. Senna, that it's me this time. So thank you again.
So we'll come, don't worry, you owe me one.
No, don't worry, because I was already listening, and I intend to get my CEO for my MRI company to connect with you sometimes soon.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you.
Yeah, I'm ahead of you, Henny. Maybe. I'm already texting him right now, so. Yeah,
Henny, just so special just for a minute. That's it. That's all you're allowed to do.
That's all I gave you, 1 minute.
That's all we give you. So like we talked about, how it's important not only to get the loans, but you want to be able to get the whole amount forgiven, right? So tracking is so important. And seriously, I'm talking about bookkeeping. It's not because I'm a bookkeeper, but really that's all, the whole loan system is about keeping track of things, right? Because in order for anybody to know if you spend it correctly, you need to be able to back up your information. So bookkeeping is so important. So this is the one time where I highly suggest for those of you who have been keeping your books on Excel spreadsheets, on shoeboxes, this is the time to just make the leap of faith and sign up for a bookkeeping or accounting software, right? They're pretty inexpensive. I don't care what you use, QuickBooks, Xero, Wave, whatever it is that works, but you want to make sure that the initial setup is being done by somebody who knows accounting. Because if the setup is wrong, everything else that follow it will harm you more than help you, right? Because the whole point of bookkeeping or categorization is posting your income and expenses to the correct categories so that you can maximize on your tax deductions and that everything is counted for. What I've seen a lot when I look at books that are poorly maintained is we will have like 2 categories, sometimes 3 or 4 categories on the books that are the same thing. So the problem with that is at tax time, when you send that income statement to your tax filer to file your taxes, depending on how much time that tax filer still have to look at your returns. I mean, keep in mind, they only have a short period of time to service all of their clients. So tax season is not the best time to count on your CPA to look for your deductions to make sure that they counted for everything that you have spent for deductible categories. So when you have multiple categories for the same thing, the chances of them just pick up 1 or 2 of those categories and count it and then forget or exclude the other one is very high. So you lose out on tax deduction, just in general. Okay, so that's why it's important to set up correctly and follow. Don't create new categories on the fly. I know that accounting software make it so easy to just create a new categories, and depending on your mood at that time, you name it something a little different, and now you have 2 categories of the same thing, right? So just keep in mind that don't just create categories, think it through, have someone consult with someone about that. But in terms of the Paycheck Protection Program, use tax, okay? That's the best thing to do. You don't have to make any changes in your bookkeeping or your accounting categories, accounting numbers. You just need to use tax to say this expense was eligible for PPP so that you can run a report and show what they are. If you use our service, you don't have to worry about it. We know which one's eligible, and then we apply for forgiveness for you. Keep receipts, so important, right? This is something that we don't ask you for, even with my clients. Keep the receipt, you know, if you keep all your charges on like either your business bank debit card or on a credit card that you dedicate only for business, that helps a lot because nowadays you can get a lot of information just from the credit card statements. But by all means, keep receipt when you can. It's so easy nowadays. Just, you know, you don't have to be fancy and you don't have to have all these apps to read receipts and all that stuff. Just take a picture of your receipt, create an email account that is called receiptsforme@gmail.com, for example. And every time you get a receipt, just take a picture of it and send to that email address, right? Because, you know, you might not need those receipts, but if you ever get audited, you have them. So keep the receipt and the detailed naming convention. This is so important. If you're doing this yourself, or even if you have a bookkeeper that's doing this for you, make sure that they do this right. It's important. So as we know, 2020 is just a crazy, crazy year. We don't want to go back, but we do need to look back because that's what accounting is all about. So when you look back at your accounting for last year, if any of you have gotten any grant, the grants come in all different type of names. People get really creative with their grants. Just make sure that when you record that in the book, again, grant is not taxable, right? But you still need to record that as income or show that somewhere on your income statements, and your tax filer can decide what to do with it. But it's important is to say grant and then whatever the name of that grant is.
So would the
Always,
first round of the PPP be considered a grant?
No. So the PPP is not a grant, it's a loan, it's a forgivable loan. So good question though, because the PPP, until it's forgiven, it is still a loan, right? It still needs to show up on your balance sheet, okay? So it's, you know, on your balance sheet as a long-term liabilities, because technically that loan is a 2-year term, 1% interest rate. So anything more than 12 months is considered long-term liability. So it needs to be on your balance sheet. But any other, like, let's say you got it forgiven, right? Whatever the percentage, whatever the amount is forgiven, then that needs to move on to the income statement, the profit and loss.
How do you get it forgiven?
You need to apply for it.
But is there anything special that you like say in there that makes it more easier to get forgiven than
you need to spend it correctly. So we'll talk about that when we go. Why are you jumping ahead of my presentation? I mean, be patient now.
By the way, Lisa, so I know you're really busy. In terms, Annie, I'm getting texts here, people wanting to know that they would like to actually hire Lisa, but they need her information. So if you can on chat, can you put her information or however way they can contact her? That would be really good. Just do it live if you can, please.
Sure.
Oh, okay. I don't know. How do I do this?
No, Hanny can do it. Hanny can do it.
Oh, Hanny can do it. Okay, Hanny.
You continue with your wonderful talk. I'm really
let's put Hanny to work.
Yeah, really. So, Lisa, just one more thing. Maybe I'm going ahead, but it says within 10 months. How much within 10 months? Is it something you could apply forgiveness for right away? Or as soon as you've spent that money, then you can apply for forgiveness? Or how does that work?
Very good. So cover period. That's a term you need to know in regards to PPP, right? So cover period is the period that the government gives you or you elect to spend that money. So for example, let's say you got $100,000 from the Paycheck Protection Program loan. Now, in order to qualify for that, the way they calculate the loans is 2.5 times your monthly payroll expenses. Okay. So initially they say you have 8 weeks to spend it, and then they extend it to 24 weeks. Now with the PPP2, it could be any period between 8 and 24 weeks. So you can use it within 10 weeks, within 20 weeks, whatever you want. But what's important is, in order for it to be eligible for forgiven, at least 60% of the amount have to have been spent on payroll expenses.
Got it.
Okay, so if you had a loan for $100,000, at least $60,000 of that was paid to salary and wages employer taxes, health insurance. They really expand the categories for payroll expense. Health insurance, company contribution to the retirement plan, that's all part of payroll expenses as part of that $60,000. Now, let's say the rest, the other 40%. Now, if you spend the full amount on payroll, so easy, right? So if you can show that, hey, during that period that I spend all of that money to pay employees, you just submit the payroll reports, 100% forgiven.
Yeah, it's really hard for Sephora. She doesn't pay me anything for this. You know that?
Because I really talked about that. Business owners don't get paid. So especially husband. Are you kidding? Husband don't get paid.
Seriously. Well, I guess
wives do though. Wives don't get paid.
I should talk to your husband about this too. Jeez,
yeah.
We need a union here.
Yeah, something, right? Oh my goodness, he's starting something. First take care of Net California, not taxes, PPP, and then you go with the other movement, right? Do the other one first.
This is harder. This would be a harder task.
This is a much harder, yeah. It's a long-term goal.
You see how quiet Hanny is? I'm sure his wife is
very quiet, because that means you're gonna have to be on payroll. I can't be with you on that one, Dr. Sena.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go off camera again and let her continue talking.
Okay, no worries. So like we mentioned, the cover period, let's talk a little bit about the different expenses that now is eligible for forgiveness. So with the second round, they really have broadened it, right? The first round is only payroll, rent, and rent or mortgage interest, utilities. But with this round, they really have opened it up for any kind of software that help you run your normal operations. So like your subscription to Microsoft Office or, Google Enterprise or your Adobe subscription or QuickBooks subscription. See, now's the time to get QuickBooks because can be count for forgiveness. So accounting also, they expect us in the accounting communities to help small business through this whole process. So accounting expenses, money that you're going to be paying me, is eligible for paycheck protection. There's a motivation, right? So it's really good. And then also they even allow you to, for supplies that you purchase. So for those businesses that purchase supplies and maybe reselling it or something, if you can show that you are obligated to buy these supplies in order to help your business to continue its normal operations, those are also qualify for that 40% left. You still need to spend 60% on payroll, but the 40%, they've really broadened that up. Also, if we have anybody in the accommodation or food industry, we know that that's the industry that got hit the hardest, right? So they get a larger loan amount, really nice, right? So the normal way to calculate PPP loan amount is 2.5 times the monthly payroll expenses. But for accommodations, food industry, it's 3.5 times. So they can get a much bigger loans because they were hit the hardest because of this pandemic. One other tip is like, the 10 months after the cover period, like Dr. Khan has said, make sure that you apply for the loans, for the forgiveness after the cover period. So if you have spent the money, now's the time to start applying for the forgiveness. And the good thing about this, though, is you don't have to have your forgiveness application approved before you can apply for PPs too. As long as you're going to be spending all that money eventually, right, or had already spent it, just haven't applied for forgiveness, you can apply for PPP too. Okay. One more thing about the forgiveness I want to talk about. So once you apply for forgiveness, you give the application to your lenders. Everything looks complete. They send it to the SBA. The SBA has had 90 days to approve your forgiveness applications. So for everybody who are either have already applied for forgiveness, make sure that you leave the loan amount on your balance sheet until you actually got an approval letter from the SBA saying that your loan is forgiven and whatever that amount is. Okay. If you have not received that letter, even if you have applied for it, but you just have not received the certification that say that the amount was forgiven, that PPP loan should still show up on your balance sheet as a long-term liability. Okay, and then loan forgiveness. So we touched on this a little bit already, but what's nice about this is they are really trying to help small businesses. And so the SBA is committed to making the forgiveness process really easy. Okay, so what that's saying is in the first round, so those of you that already got the PPP loan on the first round, but you have not yet applied for forgiveness, so you should listen to this, is if your loan in the first round was $50,000 or less, you're qualified to use the form 3508S. S is for small business. So this form is different from the 3508 Easy. The 3508 Easy was nice and easy, but it's still a 2-pager and it's still requiring you to upload all the backup documents. The 3508S, from what I have received information so far, it's simply a 1-page form. You do need to have your numbers though. So you do need to have that, you need to have bookkeeping, imagine that. No, but you just do need to have the profit and loss reports by month. That would be most useful. So that you can see for the cover period that you select, how much of that was, what's in payroll, how much was in utility. So the breakdown of how you spend your money, you need to have all those numbers because that's what they're asking for on this 1-page form. And then the nice thing about it is they want you to keep the backup information, the receipts, the bank statements, and all that good stuff, the payroll reports. You can keep it, but you don't have to upload it to get it forgiven. You can just certify that you spend the money correctly and that you're good. Now, with that said, a lot of
Lisa,
the big...
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Tommy Smith wants to know if, do you need to apply for forgiveness of the first round first before you can apply for the second round of PPP?
No, you do not. You don't have to. You can apply for round 2 already. If you're eligible, you can apply for it. Okay, but I would encourage you to get the first round loan forgiveness, apply for that within this quarter, because 10 months after the cover period is ended, the bank will start sending you the bill, to start making payments. So apply for it. I would say this month or next, but that should not stop you in order to apply for the PPP2. Okay. So the 3508S is a wonderful form that really is helping for the small business. That amount actually increased, right, on the second round. So instead of $50,000 to qualify to use that form, for the second round loans, the loan amount that's qualified to use the loan have gone up to $150,000. It's really nice, right? Most of my small business clients, actually, their loans are typically under $150,000. And so they can qualify to use a 3508S form. Now, what I've heard from my clients is that none of the bigger banks like Chase or Bank of America, Wells Fargo have released this form 3508S for their borrower to be able to apply for forgiveness. And I think that what they are waiting for is just more guidance from the SBA before they do that. So I've seen people who have loan amount very minimal try to apply for forgiveness already, and they're having to use the long form, and it's just so confusing. Don't do that to yourself. You don't need to spend time to do that. Wait for them to allow you to apply for the 3508S, and at that time do it. If your loan amount was less than $50,000 in the first round. For the second round, it's $150,000, okay? So that's really all I have in terms of loan forgiveness. We can help. You see this smart being guy, I mean, we can help with that. So we can help with the whole loan forgiveness process. We track your expenses. We know which one is qualified for the for forgiveness. We apply for you, and then we prepare. Basically, we apply on your behalf. I should say that we have attorneys attending. I mean, be careful with what I say. We will apply for we will prepare the applications. We'll send it to you for you to review, and then you can e-sign it, and then we will submit it on your behalf.
Yeah, so Hani has put the information, contact information in the chat. And so we have a question here from Amir Al-Sawaf. And he says, so for the people who are applying for the first time, are they going to be qualified based on the first round?
Yes. So the first round is better, right? Because you don't have to have the 25% reduction in revenue qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've never applied for it and you have the appropriate paperwork for 2019 payroll reports, or if you're a sole proprietor, so this is important, if you are a sole proprietor or if you were a LLC filed as a single member LLC, so you use Form 1040 to file your taxes, look at the Schedule C and line 31. So line 31 should be showing a positive number in order, because that's what the banks are looking at. They're looking at that number to determine how much money you made from your business last year. They divide that by 12 and they time 2.5 to come up with your PPP loan amount. Now, for the first round, I know that there was a lot of business who didn't apply for it or didn't qualify because they're only a 1099s or they're sole proprietor, and the banks, you can't get anybody from the bank to talk to you to make your case. The second round, though, like I say, we have established that relationship with Biz to Credit, so we can actually go in and override what the lender is telling us as far as the loan amount, if we can prove it. Right. So if we can make a case for the client, so that's really what makes me so happy, is that I can make a case for a lot of my clients for their loan amount. And it's not just me, it's just if you have a relationship with any banker, you should be able to have them help you with that.
So I have a couple questions myself. One, is there a deadline projected for this?
I have not heard of a deadline, but like I said, this time there was only $284 billion. I know it seems like a lot of money, but there's a lot of small business out there. And that's basically about half of what it was in the first round, right? So you want to get your application in there. Remember the first round when this came out, a lot of people, we ran out of money. Mm-hmm. So you want to get on top. I think this week is when they are going to start accepting applications. So get your application in.
Okay. And then can you apply for multiple businesses? I mean, if you own different businesses, because I know the California Relief Program, they're not allowing that, but for this, are they?
Yeah, so let's talk about the California Relief Grant too. But for this, if they look at each business, depending on the ownership, right? So the business in total have to have less than 300 employees for second round. It's low. It's first round was 500 employees or less. This round is 300 employees or less. So let's say you have a couple McDonald's, right? You're owner of a few McDonald's. They have common ownership. You're the common ownership, and you have more than 300 employees. It's going to be tough to qualify. Mm-hmm. So that is a case where you need to kind of talk to your banker. If you own a couple McDonald's, you should have a banker that is ready to help you, right? Because you probably have a lot of deposit, and you're on the higher client list. So reach out to them. It should be a case by case to look at. But yeah, the California Relief Grant, it has a very rocky rollout, as you know. I would say the first few days of the program being rolled out, the website basically crashed, right? Nobody can get through. But if you have not applied for it, it is the website address is californiareliefgrant.com. Is it .com or .gov? .org. .org, right? .org. So
Thank you for that one as well.
yeah, so that one is they looked at your gross revenue. If you have, I believe, up to $100,000 in 2019 in gross receipt, you get $5,000. If you are from 100 grand up to $1 million, you get $15,000. And then above that, I think maybe $25,000. I don't have that information in front of me.
The highest is 25,000. And
25,000,
I believe
okay.
that the deadline for that is the 13th. So
The
still have
13th.
a few days.
So you have a few days to apply. So they say it's not first come, first serve. It's more depending on your eligibility. So go ahead and apply for it. And it's, you know, they do require that you have to show that your business will suffer, has a reduction in your revenue from the previous year. Right.
We have another question.
Okay, question, yeah.
Where Ali Nasiri says, where can we apply for the PPP2? We had applied to PPP1 with Wells Fargo, but currently we have not received anything from them.
Okay, so you did, I assume that you did get the loan, PPP loan from Wells Fargo on the first round. So if you did get it or you like the experience that you have with them, doesn't sound like you do, then continue with it. But otherwise, there are other options, right? So it's not limited to you have to go to your bank to apply for the loan. You can apply for the loan, like for example, my clients, they have all kind of banks, but we apply for them through our relationship with Biz to Credit, right? You can go online to any fintech lenders like Blue Vines, Cabbage, even PayPal, and check them out and see what the process look like. So expect to spend a little bit of time, whether you go through your traditional bank or these fintech banks, they are going to want to see your tax returns, your income statement, your bank statements to qualify you for the requirement that you have to show a reduction in your gross receipt for any quarter in 2020 compared to the same quarter in 2019. So that's the most important requirement, and you need to be able to back that up. So make sure that you did your books for 2020, that you have your financial statement is able to run by quarter. And then whatever that number is showing there, you need to be able to back up that number with bank statements to show your deposit.
Lisa, one more thing. I think the audience should really know that this is round 2 of the PPP, right?
Yeah.
What you're saying is also going to be very, very important for round 3, because I am fairly certain that there's a round 3 coming up with new President-elect Biden. So that all of this bookkeeping and all of this tracking is critical in order for you to qualify with the government with these and to stay and to get things forgiven and to stay compliant with the laws and rules and regulations. And so what you're saying is very important for people to comprehend, because we're not done with the PPP, as I'm pretty certain of that, right? So the round 3, when that comes, which I believe is going to be even a significantly larger round, it's going to require for you to be very well organized with all your data.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. Good point. There will be, I mean, we're not getting out of this pandemic anytime soon. So not only that, you guys, I have clients ask questions about grants, right? So there are a lot of nonprofit, local and state grants that are out there that to help you. And it's important to know that you can apply for multiple grants. So don't feel like, oh, you know, I already got this California relief grant. Can I also apply for PPP? PPP is completely something different, right? It's not a grant. It's a federal stimulus program. Same with even if you have EIDL or the EIDL grants or that EIDL loan, again, that's independent of the Paycheck Protection Program. You can apply for both. In terms of grant, I would say apply for all that you can qualify. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, right? But apply for all that can qualify. Once you apply for one grant, you can do the rest. It's pretty similar. But the one thing you do need to have is make sure, like I mentioned before, make sure you have accurate bookkeeping, that you keep track of everything, because every grant that they give you, they are going to want to get reporting from you, maybe quarterly, maybe semi-annually or annually, to show how you use the grant. They're gonna expect you to submit your financial statements to show how you spent the money, because they, as a nonprofit organization, or for them to receive that grant from the state or from the Fed to give to you, they also have to report back, right? That they actually, in fact, give out the grant and how it has helped the community. So make sure you just keep track. This is a time where it's, you know, maybe business is slow for a reason, so that you can get back to building the foundations. You know, take a look at your entity organization. I mean, are you still should be an S Corp, or should you change it to an C Corp, an LLC? Should you be incorporating right now, right? With the COVID-19, the liability on businesses and employers have just grown. I'm sure Hani have talked about this with you guys. So it's time to review.
And this is something that's so true, Lisa, because we've seen so many of our clients actually that have been reached out to our CPA tax lawyers to start getting incorporated, to switch, you know, to basically review their status basically from S Corp to C Corps. So this is very important conversation to have during this time, you know.
Yeah. And
yeah, I think there's another conversation that's ready to be had, and we'll do that in this another program, Hani, which is the new workers' comp laws regarding COVID and you know, how it's going to be implemented in California, particularly because you know, COVID is it's not going away, like Lisa said. This is something that's here for a while, and not only hopefully with vaccination we'll be able to get it under control. However, the consequences of this, the outcomes of this, we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now. So, and people need to really understand what's coming up in the next, not just the 6 months, but potentially the next 2 years as a consequence. So we'll probably do another session in terms of workers' comp laws and bring in workers' comp attorneys. There are a lot of people that own businesses or are employees. They need to understand this a lot better because there's new laws that make COVID a presumption. You have gotten it at work. If it's the last 14 days, you've actually been at work from the time you became positive to it, right? So, so people need to understand this better. And it's there to protect the business owners, by the way, because people they think that, oh, it's bad. But imagine how many civil lawsuits would actually happen if employees didn't feel that the employers were taking the right steps to protect them at work.
Exactly. And think about like the COVID, there are underlying conditions or, you know, the doctor will have a better term for this, but long-term effects, health effects that we don't even know yet, right? And so, you know, when people are hurting, they want to blame somebody. And so businesses, they really need to protect themselves, and you guys can help them with that. So
yeah, I mean, this is another area that our employment law attorneys have been busy both on the defense side and on the plaintiff side. There's just so many other new laws that have evolved from COVID-19, and this is something that we're helping lots of clients. And this is very interesting because, you know, we have the financial stress and the stress that environment and during you know that employers could be put in, or, you know, the financial stress that can kill you actually even more than basically the COVID itself. So yeah, so we have very experienced employment law lawyers that are handling lots of employment law cases and these new laws.
Great.
Yeah, that is a whole session in itself, Henny.
Yes.
For both from the employer's perspective and the employee's perspective.
Yes. Sure.
So I just gave a talk on Friday on COVID-19 to roughly probably about 3,000 to 3,200 judges and lawyers. And what's coming up is, like Lisa said, I mean, really, we're at the tip of the iceberg right now. The consequences of this pandemic. Everybody's focused on solving it, which is where we should be. But the consequences are going to be pretty
larger than what anybody wants to admit.
Yeah. A lot of President Biden's presidency is going to be spent on COVID consequences.
Yeah.
But it really, thank you so much. That was really, really awesome. My phone, I can show you, is going off the hook with people when the recording is, and how can they get access to it. They didn't see the first part. Unfortunately, I didn't really post it until you guys had started. I'm so sorry. But a lot of people joined, but then a lot want to know how they can get access to the recording of this talk.
Sure, we will send out the recording for everyone and that inquires for it. And, thank you so much, Lisa. That was very informative.
Before we end, I just wanted to add that we're actually sharing, we're collaborating with Shura Council too, because we're sharing another, the PPP2 for nonprofits. This is a separate webinar that's going to be this Thursday, January 14th at 12 p.m. For nonprofits. It's a separate one specifically for nonprofits that we're collaborating with the Shura Council on this one. They're going to streamline it on the Shura TV. They're going to also have it on their YouTube platforms. So that's a very important one for the nonprofits as well, because they can benefit from the forgiveness grant loan. And then, I really want to thank you, Lisa, especially the fact that you can make the cases for our clients. This is really so valuable right now. I mean, just to give you an example, when the PPP2 came out, I texted our banker. He told me he's on vacation till the 19th. I'm like, really? I mean, seriously? So thank you. So, I mean, a lot of our clients are going to get this response too, because I'm sure they're busy as well. I'm not trying to discredit them, but I mean, basically, I'm sure they're getting a lot of applications.
And can I get a forgiveness application from you, Lisa, so I can ask forgiveness from Sephora for the stuff I said on this webinar?
Can't help you there. That's a completely separate thing. I'm not an expert on that.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, and I'm on her side, so I'm sorry.
Andy, you must have one lying around. I know you're going to
Hey,
tell me.
Hanny probably have a few.
I don't have anything on that one. I'm sorry, because
I'll talk to Noor about that.
I'm on the same boat. So
yeah, thank you all of you for tuning in and learning about this, and let us know what we can do to improve, and tell us what topics you guys would like to know about, and we'll see you next week.
Yay. Thank you.
Thanks everyone
Bye.
for taking the time and being on this webinar.